All right. So let's start off and just kind of ask where this story evolved from, because it's a very unique story, and I kind of want to know where that came.
It was early on, and I think the Twilight franchise was coming out at the same time, and I was just infuriated with that. And I've just seen so many things where Immortals were just like Dorian Gray and Dracula and stuff were just so suave and, are we allowed to curse?
Yes, absolutely.
Fucking suave and confident, and like, is it really immortality? And I wanted to write something where it's the worst person that's ever been and have some kind of empathy, like it just exude empathy with that. And I was big into that. I was taking a lot of psychology classes at the time, so I was big into like, oh, is it nature or nurture? Is it innate? Like, are we born evil, or is it just a victim of circumstance? And I wanted to kind of play with those deals at that time. And it's like, okay, let me just invent the worst person in the history of planet Earth.
Exactly.
And have a look at him.
So am I allowed to say the vampire word? Is that cool if we use that?
You can say it, but it's not necessarily it.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Okay. So then what drew you to the role then? You know, when you read it, what really drew you in?
I read the script in early December or late November of 2012. I read it, I laughed out loud alone in a dressing room. I was doing shows. I was in New York and I read it, I'm like by myself laughing. I'm like, that's great, that's funny. And I read the entire script, and a meeting was set up. Jason happened to be in New York.
Yeah.
So the next day we met near the venue because I had a gig that night. And I just met him. I said, great script. But it's funny, right? It's like,
Yeah, no,
You want to make sure you are.
I don't want to insult him. I don't want to be like, you laughed? I said, I laughed a lot. The guy's bored, right? He said, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. I said, so it's kind of like almost an existential comedy with some blood. He went, that's, you're getting there.
You nailed it, yeah.
And so I said, I'm in. And that's it. And I loved it. As soon as I read it, I can do this. I can do it really well. And I'm not Mr. Confidence about myself. But when I read it, I said, there's not one aspect of this guy, in a practical sense, that I can't completely get into, or at least really try. And I just thought...
You're okay to try cannibalism.
Well, I'm not, looking to rip his head off. But just his boredom, his thing with people, I was like, yeah, I understand where that humans thing comes from. And I just thought, he wakes up every day after like 15 hours of sleep, watches some TV, and like, diner, bingo, eternity. And like he can't even kill people anymore. Just like buy some blood, put it in the fridge, get the veg meal down the street, and more TV, like awful TV. Like tell Avengers, like, yeah, it's what's on.
He's been watching it for how many years?
Oh, he'll burn the TV out. He'll leave the house to buy another TV, but beyond that, he has eternity, which is an interesting idea for us mortals. Because, I can honestly say, I remember when I was your age. And your life changes. But what if you didn't have that? Would it be like winning the lottery? I live forever. Awesome. Really? Because part of what inspires me to do what I do in my real non-actory life is a sense of mortality. Like, all right, old man, you better get up, because
motivation,
you're not 22 anymore. And in 10 years, you're not going to be able to hike up that mountain. So today is the day. And I get a lot of inspiration, like, okay, yeah, I'm right about that, because it hurts to get up.
Kicking me ass.
Right, and so you go, all right, bucket list, assault. But what if you didn't have that? What if life was this open-ended thing? And that's the predicament Jack is in. And I love the predicament so much.
So are you not worried, but do you think people are going to have a hard time classifying this film as anything?
It already has been. Like people, most of the time when I sit down, we say, "What's it about?" I'm like, I don't know how much. It's such a slow burner.
Exactly. I didn't even know if I wanted to say vampire because
Exactly.
do we know?
I don't know. Does he have to be a thing?
No, it doesn't have to be a
It doesn't have
thing.
to be exactly a thing. And then so anytime, usually my pitch is like, it's about an immortal cannibal who's chronically depressed because he's an immortal cannibal, but he can't not be an immortal cannibal. So it's like
It's that big circle.
So
it just goes around in circles.
Yeah, and then people are like, oh, okay, is there like a story involved? Like, yeah, there is. And there's like other actors.
This is cannibalism. Just worry about that.
Yeah, and it's mostly that. So it's been really tough to pitch it, but it's already made. So I'm like, just go see it then, if that's the case.
Good point. So, but you said that. So pitching it then, You just said it was hard. Was it a hard sell then to a lot of people? Like,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, just coming off. He was a huge help though when he was attached. It's like, Henry, someone's attached to it. You could read it now because it's going to be a thing. And we had a little bit of money from our last movie and the last couple of movies we had there. And we were going to throw that chunk in, and we kind of like literally the little indie filmmaking thing. We just darted at the wall. I'm like, October, we'll make it then. And then we just with whatever money we'll have, we'll make it. That's the plan.
I know a lot of people.
Yeah, and then so we do pitch meetings, like we're making it here. If you want to join us, please do it. And then they like that, and we made it in November. So it's like, oh, okay, that was
pretty on schedule.
shocked.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So now being an outspoken person, I mean, you play a character that's very shut down, and you don't say a lot. Was that hard for you?
Yeah. But I had almost a year to prepare because I became aware of the part at the end of 2012. We shot it almost like 12 months later.
Mm-hmm.
And I had great faith in this, so I knew I was going to be this guy eventually. And around late summer of 2013, we shot it?
Yeah,
Okay.
It was like early, yeah.
I start focusing in on this guy. I start memorizing some long spiels.
Mm-hmm.
So I start getting that in my DNA. I really started to figure this guy out. I took a ton of notes. I promised to show those to you once.
I've seen your scripts, they're insane. There's a novella on the back.
I just do a lot of notes. I'm like, okay, don't oversell this. Remember, he's not human, so you want to do that, don't. And I would rehearse in my room, at home, just like, okay, here's the undersell. He's going to do this, murder, he's going to kill this guy, but it's not like, he's like, stop the thing, no face, no face. It's utilitarian, light switch, water, neck.
Everything's the same.
Because he's just like, you're annoying me. You're in my house. Get out. I have to kill you to get you out. Done. But so by the time we sat down and fine-tuned the guy in Toronto, we sat in a room and like.
That was great.
That was really fun.
Yeah, that was
the
fun.
two of us just like forehead to forehead, just like micromanaging this guy.
I think we scared the shit out of Kate.
And we came off this intense like, and then Kate came in, who's 100% amazing.
She's sweet.
And we did rehearsal with her. Like, I said, hey, I'm Henry Jack, and you're Kate. And let's do that long walking, what do you do for a living shot. And we rehearsed that outside of our production building. And we brought her into the gang. But he and I had been working together, but I had been working on my own in anticipation. Because we knew several months out, this is going to happen. Maybe October, maybe November, but it's going to happen. And so I went to work, and by the time we shot day one, I was pretty much 90-something% there. He said, okay, next take, remember. I'm like,
it's the shorthand after a while was amazing. That was pretty great. I mean, like the best idea I could ever have is only going to be okay, but something collaborative to go with any other actors, whether it be a photographer or anything else. Like that's where the ideas actually go somewhere. And just like listening and talking to people, like it's easy to talk your head off when you're a director. It's just really, really easy. Like most of the time, like, whoa, how are you feeling about that? Does this make sense to you? And if they say no, figure it out. You have there's no enemies in film sets. Everyone around you is trying to help you out.
Well, you're all trying to make the same film.
Yeah, exactly.
It comes down to, it's simple in a way.
Yeah.
Well, in one way, you can't believe any movie gets made. Because
it's a miracle.
Even like, a 2-minute short, like you did that? Because it's so bloody hard.
Yeah.
There's so many working parts.
So many things can go wrong.
Yeah, and almost, it's yours to screw up, and yours to burn all the money in 2 weeks and go, wow, we're dead. But it still comes from a relatively simple place. Trust and respect. Because you have to have trust and respect with the actor, you have to have that with your director. The director has to have it with his or her actors.
Right.
And it just has to be like, I got this. It's like Harlem Globetrotters. Someone's going to catch that.
Yeah, totally.
Like, and I'm going to fall and you got me. And like with Kate, who is my opposite in the film, she's just this like black belt actress. Just
she brought it.
Killer. She brought the thing. So I could go into that with no hesitation. Like I hate holding back. I hate restraint. Especially in any part, even if you're quiet, your character's quiet, you want to hit that quietness with 20 tons of intensity. So it is all it can be. Sometimes you're with an actor or actress who will let you get there. You're not really, are we like, is this funny to you? Everybody in that film, casting-wise, was so like, let's go, and you're like, all right.
Yeah, let's elevate each other. That was great.
And to be in that environment, man, the days, like you'll do 14 hours and you don't even feel tired because you're so plugged in. And not only was the cast that way, and everyone liked Jason, and he's easy to like, But the thing that was really
Sharks.
fun, besides all that, camera crews into it.
Yeah.
The Crips, everyone is into it. They loved the movie. They liked all of us. They liked the actors liked the crew. Everyone liked Jason. Everyone liked Zach, the producer. Big love fest on set. And I've been on sets where it's like, morning,
Right.
where like people are burned out. I hate this job. I'm just doing this because my wife's having another kid. You're like, wow.
Yeah, exactly.
You hate I hate these lights. You're like, wow. I don't want to be around that. Everyone in this thing, by the first week, everyone's like, this is so bitchin'. I'm like, yeah. And we all eat lunch and sit at everyone's table, everyone's getting along.
Yeah,
it was a really great time. And then after lunch, all right, second half of the day, let's do this. And everyone was just, the rap party was actually sad. Like, how are we going to miss these people?
Yeah, they really do.
Familial.
Yeah. And that happens, fairly often in a film, but not as often as I'd like it. Because I'd like that every time.
Oh, yeah.
And this was like
That's
one of
the
those thick as thieves thing, at least for me. Everyone's nice to me, I'm the talent. It
Has to be nice to you,
no,
yeah.
if there's a problem on set, I'm not going to know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless I'm the problem. And even then, Henry, you're doing great, but you have to...
Stop hitting the PAs.
Like that. But
Usually get rid of
as
it.
far as I know, everyone was all happy, good to go.
Yeah, everyone was, and that's the thing you gotta remember. Everyone's working just as hard as you.
Exactly.
And just if you treat them with like respect, and they also want to be there, and they also have ideas. Like it comes to the top.
Yeah, I went home from that.
Yeah.
It's like really empty. Like, wow, I miss my character. I wore the boots in the movie. I brought them with me.
You couldn't get out.
I still use them. I see the blood stains on them.
I was gonna say, I hope you're not murdering anyone anymore.
Well,
or
again,
that.
I'm like, man, I want to, I miss our thing we had.
It was weird. I missed you as a person.
Yeah, no,
Not just
Not as a murderer, as a real person.
no, and that's the thing. I really, he and I became pals very quickly.
Yeah.
And we're both kind of been dropped on our heads enough times. We're just kind of nuts in the same way.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have that.
And we got along really well.
Yeah.
And I've been in plenty of films. I get along fine. I'm a get along type.
Yeah.
But rarely do you have a thing where it sings back and forth. You're like, right. So let's go.
Yeah, exactly. That was great.
A lot of times it's like, I can do this, so block, okay. And you get your blocking, you shoot the scene, it's kind of mechanical. This was a very organic thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've interviewed a million people in their tiny little indie movie and they've all told you the same thing. It was a great experience. It's a very unique
Oh,
film.
trust me, I have heard
Yeah.
the whole band.
And every heavy metal band. We're not a metal band. They're like, oh, okay. But it was, like I said, I'm an amateur actor, but I've been in a bunch of movies for some guy who's kind of like, hand-boning.
A bunch of movies that I love, by the way.
Yeah, they were Heat for the God's sake.
Yeah.
These little pieces, yeah, like Heat.
But it was one of the funnest where you didn't want it to end and you're like, damn, I hope we get part 2 of this where it turns into something.
Yeah.
Or if
absolutely.
Jason does something else, I hope he remembers me because I'd like to be in his world again. And it's a wonderful feeling to have. I did a movie once as a little part with David Lynch. Same thing, like you leave the set and you miss him.
Yeah.
Because every day you're like, hey you guys, how you doing? And like he tells you everything he played, like I played this record last night, it was really cool. And you're like, man, I love this movie. And like, okay, you're done. You're like, really? Can I just hang around? Because it was such a fun world he made for everyone. And we had that in our little TP up in Toronto.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. Like I tried to do the last take. Like, hey, this is the last take. Do you have anything you want to uncork, or you're inspired by any way? And like, I've been doing that for the last 3 takes. Like, all right.
Pratt.
I guess we'll just go home.
We would get into a thing where we would have an idea for every scene. We all confab and we'd do it. And then if we had enough time, some days we could do it, some days not.
Yeah.
He would come and go, okay, I'm happy. Let's do one for you. Does Jack have another idea? And I'm like, actually, I do. And nothing needs to change. Marks are the same. Don't even brief the other actor. I'm just going to come out a little differently with a different, I'm coming out of a different corner in my head. Shoot it. And sometimes you go, okay, well, obviously the other idea was better. Or sometimes like Henry, nice.
90% of the time, it's what you did. Yeah.
But to have that freedom, because there's some directors you wouldn't dare ask that.
Yeah.
Not because they're jerks, just because it's not your film, and like just shut up and get back to one.
Yeah.
But I'd have these ideas, like, okay, we got that one, but what if you went at it this way? Because Jack is complex. He's bored and kind of droll, but he has a few analog beats. Like, he had a kid, so there's some kind of interest there. And he kind of likes the waitress. What's that about? So he has to surface in some odd ways. I wanted to take those moments and like, well, we got that. Let's get another version of it.
Congratulations.
Thanks so much, guys.
I appreciate your time.